Hello and welcome to another session of Music Matters with Ev. And I'm so pleased to say that today we are interviewing someone who, ever since I've known her, she has had the most sparkling of personalities. And now, well, since then, since I first met her, I can honestly say that it seems like her personality has become a firework. Welcome, Amy from the Woods.
Thank you, Everton.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, that was a lovely introduction. Thank you.
It's the truth. It's the truth. We only deal with the truth on this program.
Yes, thank you.
So, without any further ado, take us right back to the beginning, Amy. When did you discover your musical ability?
I would say I didn't properly have kind of conviction in it until maybe about 23. But I've always been playing music. I met you when I was about 15, and that was playing the saxophone.
Exactly.
Yeah, so a while ago. But yeah, it wasn't until a good, 8 years after that where I kind of said, "Oh, I like this, and I can do this as well." I think is the main thing.
So, in terms of accepting your ability to keep a crowd focused and engaged, before then, did you do any performances?
Small performances, so that would be kind of joining in with bands, a lot of school music. So in school, nothing with just me and in front of crowds of people. So no, not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as you said, when I first met you, it was the saxophone was your forte. And when did you start to develop a veering towards other instruments?
Oh, from the very beginning. So I played recorder, as many young school children do, played recorder and then picked up the violin and then the saxophone. So I've always, I would say, since very young, been interested in all sorts of different music instruments. And it wasn't until I was about 15 that I started to learn the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And then again into my 20s, where I was kind of like, oh, yeah, this feels nice. This is good. Yeah, this does things for my mind, my body, my soul. Yeah.
Oh, good. And when you started to become more active within the performance arena, how was that? What made you decide to go out and sort of entertain?
Mm. I would say it was a bit of an inner feeling. So it suddenly I realized this moment where the veil just kind of dropped and all that embarrassment went. And it was a thought on feeling nervous. And it was kind of deciding good nervousness
Mm-hmm.
versus non-productive nervousness. And
Mm-hmm.
I realized this nervousness I had was because I liked it and because it felt nice to do. And it suddenly just put everything into context. And I was ready for it. And I wanted to do more.
Amy, you've capsulated it quite well. I like the terms nervousness and non-productive nervousness. Is that what you said?
Something like that, yeah.
Good, good. All right. And what about the persona? Amy from the Woods. Were you living in the woods?
No, that was I love the woods anyway. So it works in many different ways. So how it came about originally was I was working in a summer camp in near New York, and the group that I was working with lived down in the woods in tents. And every time I came out of the woods, people would shout, "Amy from the woods!" And then it just so happened that I have a affiliation with trees and all things woodland, so it just kind of encompasses all of it.
Do you get that's a charming story? Do you get have you ever been tempted? Sorry, I'm laughing because I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
You know when people do performances and theatre comes into mind, have you ever thought of a backdrop for your performances?
This is me being a tree. You've given me some great ideas. I think I could visually act like, and I'm learning different trees at the moment. So we could be a droopy birch tree, tall oak. So I think we need to add a backdrop and some visually tree gestures.
Excellent. All right. What about your performances in terms of recordings and things like that that people can get hold of and listen to you?
Yeah, so at the moment there's a few recordings on Instagram. Nothing professional, it's just kind of me getting my phone out and putting some songs up. I've also got a SoundCloud that has some demos on, and then hopefully in future times there'll be something a bit more progressed than that, a bit more put together. Yeah, so SoundCloud at the moment and Instagram and a little bit of Facebook, but mainly those
All
places.
right. We're going to get details
Yeah.
of those later on and put in the chat. Talk to us more about, did you say New York?
Yeah, that was New York, upstate New York.
So what was the occasion for you to visit the USA?
I was working on a summer camp. Um, Lots of children from like ages, I think 6 to 16. And my role was part of the trek team. So we were kind of the people that were always outside. We went hiking, took them into water, played with mud. Well, I played with mud, made lots of fires. So that was my role. And that was 3 months that I was there for. And it was great.
Wow.
Great time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was it in comparison to the UK? 3 months in the States, upstate New York, and taking part in that sort of activity. Did you get opportunity to see anywhere else?
Yeah, I did. So, when it comes to applying for your visa, you can have it, I think, for a maximum of 20 a month, 20 odd days or a month, something like that. And I took it. I took that whole length of the visa. So afterwards, I travelled around a little bit. Where did I go? Baltimore. I met somebody from Baltimore, so I went and stayed with them for a little while. Where else did I go? Can't remember where else I went, but it wasn't too far. It was quite close to New York, staying around there. And your working day, you work kind of 6 days a week, and then you have one day off. So that's one day to go off and have a look around. And you can go where you want as long as you're back within kind of the curfew. And that's.
And did you do any music? Did you do any performance while you were over there?
No, I didn't. I played my guitar, sat on, I remember kind of, classic scene of a fire pit and some tents, and then me sat on the decking, singing my heart out about my experience. Yeah, it was a good time. A good time.
Okay. And I know that you've been involved in several types of performances in the UK up until for a few years. So tell us a little bit about those. I know you've done the open mics and other things, but what about your sort of specific performances that feature just you?
Yeah, so I've touched on a bit of busking. When I busk, that's always been acoustic. So kind of, I would say my stamina for that's been about an hour.
Okay.
But the time slots that I've gone have been quite early on in the day before the main group of buskers came. And I'm from Bristol, so that's quite a popular place to busk. And that was really good, and a lot of audience interaction.
Yes.
I love doing that. Even when I've played gigs just on my own, I tend to talk a lot into the microphone, maybe more so than you typically see when you go to a gig. And I've never advertised myself as somebody that talks or comedy or anything like that. But that tends to naturally just happen. I enjoy telling a story. I enjoy trying to put a bit of positivity into it. Just kind of naturally happens as well. So that's kind of I would say that's my mixed bag. Talking a lot, conversing and singing, and have a good time.
Amy, I fully agree. It's almost like it's a package. You come as a package. You're not just going to get songs and music. There's a whole lot of other things thrown into the mix. So tell us now, what happened to your activities come March a year ago?
That was a strange time. Personally, from my own view, something very strange happened within my brain. And it was like lockdown was announced, or kind of I processed the fact that this big pandemic was happening. And it's as if part of my brain, the music part, kind of just went and closed. It was really interesting. So even singing my own songs that I've been singing for, 6 years or so, I forgot all of the lyrics, like gone. Couldn't do it. And I was playing and I felt so blocked. I couldn't do chords. I couldn't, everything sounded odd. It was a really strange experience. And that was for my own music and even covers that I knew. And then kind of I had a electric guitar sitting there. And then all of a sudden this like feeling, this passion came where I was like, oh, I must learn how to move my fingers fast. I need to learn scales and a new way of playing. So I accepted that a bit. I accepted the fact that for the time, my lyrics had gone from my head. I couldn't quite flow on the guitar as easily. But instead, I started to learn other things on the guitar, which I'd always maybe set myself apart from or decided that wasn't the style that I wanted to play, which in reality, I think as a musician, if you're a lover of music, is so open and you can always learn something new and that. So I was quite quiet playing, and where are we now? We're back in March again, aren't we? A year later. And it's all come back. I can sing my songs again.
Hey,
And I'm on a whole new mission with learning new things. And I'm even doing a virtual open mic night next week. So that's yay! So that's all happening. So I don't know what that was all about, but
a welcome break. Okay, now what do you see of the future then? What do you see of the distant future, or what aspirations do you have?
To keep playing my own stuff, definitely, and as Amy from the Woods and acoustically, and especially now that I'd say I would even say the word passion. I'd say that now that that's back and I can feel that fire again, definitely continuing that. But incorporating all of the other stuff, the electric guitar stuff. During lockdown, I managed to make friends during lockdown, and make a band. So yeah, and that's doing electric guitar. So that's really exciting. So we'll be able to meet soon. Well, we've met during that quiet part. Only had one rehearsal. So I'm hoping to get more funky with that as well.
That's incredible. That is incredible. Imagine,
I know.
Imagine when you write your memoirs and when everyone is saying that everything died for them during 2020, you formed a band.
I know. I'm always an opposite land. Always. So I don't make a new friend in 12 years or whatever the number was, and all of a sudden, as you say, it all closes and I make 2 new friends and make a band. So magic.
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
All right. And what would you advise people who are thinking of becoming musically active like yourself?
I would say to really, if you're nervous about it, really take a step back and really consider how it does make you feel. And that actually sometimes being musical and expressing that can make you more authentic than it does before. So I'll give an example with that. Somebody once said to me that when I'm on stage, I need to not be as nervous because I'm really movie. Like I stim a lot, and that's just how I like. That's just me, and need to not be as nervous and pretend. And I was so taken back by that because it's the complete opposite. When I am in front of people and I'm in this strange, weird headspace, I'm more me than I am outside of that, because singing, whether I'm singing about what I'm eating for tea or what recipe I need or lyrics, is where the truth happens. And I can express myself so much more better singing than I can when I'm just talking, I get so, so do it. That's the advice, is consider how it makes you feel. And if it makes you feel really authentic, then just go for it and enjoy it. Have fun.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I'm just gonna put in the comments where we can find you, your stuff, your music, your output. And so what do we search for? Is it all Amy from the Woods on SoundCloud and Instagram?
Yes, should be Amy from the Woods on SoundCloud and Instagram. Yeah.
YouTube?
I do have a YouTube, but it's very inactive. It's very bland at the moment.
Well, it's as you've formed a new band, it's possibly the time to bring it alive again.
Yeah, but the band's called Dog Hole.
The band's called what?
You ready? Dog Hole.
Dog Hole.
Yeah, Dog Hole.
Have you put anything out yet?
Not yet, only some pictures. But you can expect some fun times.
All right. Okay,
Yeah.
now, one other question before we end the live broadcast, and we'll catch up after. If 2020 was a human being, what would you say to him or her?
Hey, mate, how's it going? I can see you're feeling quite rough, clearly, because you've got some angst and you've got some stuff going on. Do you want to sit down? Do you need a chat? And do you want to jam? Because you never know, we might make some really cool music if you just really channel it into that. So it'll be all right. You'll be okay.
What else should I expect from Amy from the Woods? Amy, brilliant. Okay, and I'm going to ask you, please, will you come back and do this again? Because I want to hear the band and I want to keep in touch. We want to keep in touch with what you're doing, your sound, your authenticity, etc., etc. So please agree to come back and give us another look in to Amy from the Woods.
Absolutely. Thank you, Everton. Thank you.
All right, until next time, take care.
Bye.